Hello and welcome to Unfudge Your Marketing. This is a show where I chat with business owners and leaders about marketing missteps, mishaps, mistakes, all of those bad things, but most importantly, we talk about the lessons learned. I'm your host. I'm Christy Mitchell. I'm a marketing strategist, and I love working with mission-driven service providers who really have built their businesses on referrals and word of mouth, and they know in order to grow for the future and have a bigger impact, they need to finally think more strategically about their marketing. Today, I am so excited to welcome Carrie Dobson to the show. Carrie is a group program architect, facilitator, and strategic intuitive who brings rare clarity and care to the design of transformational group experiences. Her expertise draws from decades of work helping people become confident, impactful facilitators. She blends adult learning principles with energetic alignment, helping others craft group spaces that feel both grounded and alive. Spaces where connection deepens, insight lands, and growth becomes possible. With that, welcome to the show, Carrie.
Thank you so much for having me. It's wonderful to be here and having this conversation with you.
I am super excited for this. You and I have been in each other's worlds for what feels like forever now. And I feel like now we have so many overlapping connections. It took us a hot second before we hopped on to remember how we actually first got introduced. So Michelle Denayo gets a shout out for introducing us way back when. And now it just feels like we've been a part of each other's worlds forever, I feel like.
Yeah, it was really hard for, I had to go back to my nurture record. I literally had to go back and be like, where did this start? Because there have been so many things we've done together, so many mutual connections, all the things. So
yes, I think we did a LinkedIn Live way back in the day. I've been on your podcast.
Yeah,
we've referred clients back and forth. We've collaborated on clients. It's just been so much fun to be in each other's worlds for this long. So I'm really excited about this conversation we're going to have today. I appreciate your willingness to come on the show, as I do for all of my guests. Come on and kind of air a little bit of dirty laundry, talk about what didn't go well. So the experience we were going to talk about today on the show was one in which you were doing some market research. And I'm not going to go into the details. I'm not going to give any spoilers. I am going to kick it off to you. Tell us why you were doing some market research. What were you doing in your business at the time, and what happened?
Yeah, so this is one of those things I feel like it's so common for many of us where it's like, oh, I didn't follow the advice that I give my clients. And I did exactly what my clients do when they don't follow my advice. So yes, I was
going there.
Seriously. And it just reaffirms that your advice is actually correct. So I was looking to do some market research because I am putting together a group for experienced group leaders. So it's for people who have already led a group in some way, shape, or form, and bringing them together to talk about how do we enhance these groups and what can we do. So there's definitely a desire for a space where you can talk to other people who are leading groups and get the insider look at things. So I knew that I had a good idea. And I was at the part where I had kind of done some thinking around what it could look like and what it might be. And so this is the part in my process where I then say to my clients, now I want you to go out to the world and talk to 3 to 5 of your ideal participants, the people that if they said yes to being in your group, you would call your business bestie and just be celebrating. And so that's what my intention was. That was what I was going to do. And then I did what everybody else does. And I decided I'm just going to put it in my newsletter. I'm going to soft launch and allow people who are already in my environment to let me know that they want to have this conversation with me. And so I did it. And that makes it sound like it was more intentional. It wasn't an intentional decision. It was kind of that easy decision where it's oh, I have a newsletter coming out. That's where I'll put it. And then people can tell me they want to talk to me. And surprise, no one did. No one self-selected. No one clicked the link. No one booked the time with me. And so that's what I was posting about was oh, I'm at that point, this really uncomfortable point where it's ooh, I've been thinking about something. And now I'm going to try and put it out in the world and see if people are interested in it. And it's uncomfortable. And so I put it in my newsletter. It didn't work. But also, this is why we do it at this stage too, because you know, the idea is instead of like building something completely out and then putting it back in the world, as you and I have talked about many times, you want to be marketing this thing right from the beginning. And that includes the market research part. So check on marketing it, sort of, and a fail on the passiveness in which I approach that task.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love it, because I was actually just thinking as you were talking about your kind of like thought, you're like, it actually wasn't intentional. It was just kind of like the lazy, like, I'm just going to throw this in there. And what I really thought about too was anytime I put in my email newsletter something about like, I've asked for people to give me topics that maybe would make for good solo episodes on the show. I never get anyone responding, or I'll ask them to, like, I've even given them a Google link. They don't click on it. And I get pretty good engagement on my emails, but there's something about asking people for ideas or feedback that I just don't think is successful in that mass format. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. And, you know, I always think about like, you know, what state are you in when you're reading this email, right? Like for most of us, it's not like, we're not sitting there being like, this is email time where I'm reading emails in which I'm now going to respond to, right? Like, I have a folder that all my newsletter goes to, and then it's like, okay, it's catch up time. So it's like, I got some time to kill. It's a Sunday morning. Like there's something, and I'm probably not the most active. I'm like kind of taking in these newsletters that are the ones that I want to engage with and learn from. And so there's such a different energy between that and like, let me give you feedback. The other thing that I will say is I know I wasn't clear, but I don't know how easy people find it to self-select, to read that and kind of be like, in my example, I'm an experienced group leader. I think some people might be like, oh, that's too, like, what does that even mean? And then it's like, oh, she doesn't want to hear from me. We talk all the time, or, you know, whatever. So even that ask of being like self-select that this is you requires, I think, such clarity that I definitely didn't include in my newsletter.
Yes. Yeah, oh my gosh, those are such great points. One that you said, right, is like, what is the mindset that people are in when they're reading a newsletter, right? They're probably browsing, they're scanning to see like, does any of this resonate with me? Are these any like resources that I could use, right? Not like, okay, let me sit down and give you feedback. Whereas if you did a direct outreach to somebody, first of all, you're taking away that self-selection piece, which was the second part you talked about. It's not self-selecting anymore. I'm asking you to have this conversation with me. And then they know coming into that conversation, okay, this is what we're talking about. And they're ready for that.
Yes, exactly. So you take away the self-select part and you give them the opportunity to respond when they're ready to do that, i.e. book time with you or fill out the form or whatever.
Yes. So what did you do after you didn't get the responses?
Well, so I posted about it first, and, you know, I'm going to be honest, there's probably a part of me that with posting it, I was hoping more people would self-select even on that, but no. And then I actually did. I sent emails and DMs to the people that I wanted to talk to. I had some great conversations. I got some feedback, and we're still working on it. So it's not out in the world yet, but in 2026, there will be something. And I'm so glad I had the conversations because I got so much good insight around how to market it, the messaging around it, the idea behind what I was thinking about kind of still stays the same, but the language will totally be different because of this.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So I want to talk about that in a second, but before we jump to that, I want to say something to the point of, I say this all the time, right? And I see other marketers, other people out, business coaches out there, like, it's not always about bigger numbers, right? And you think about like, okay, maybe I have 500 people, 1,000 people on my email list. I'm going to send this one email out and we'll see, like, hopefully people fill it out, and you get nothing. And then you could sit there and be like, okay, let me rethink this. Let me think of 5 people who are people I genuinely really want their input. And then you reach out to those people, and how much different of a conversation is that even, right? Because it's like, oh, you value me enough and my experience and the relationship that we have. You want my expertise? Oh my gosh, I would love to sit down and do that for you. Like, was that the response you got? Because I'm guessing people weren't like, no, I'm not.
Yeah, no one ghosted me, so that was good. No, totally. Like there's I think there's like a bit of a shock or surprise that it's like, oh, you want to talk to me. And then it is like, some people couldn't do it right away. So it was like a little bit later, but everybody was willing to do it once I put the ask out there.
And what an opportunity, right? To connect with people on a deeper level that I'm sure obviously stays in your brain longer because now you're using all that feedback to help you craft the thing, but also for them.
Yes.
And then they're going to be super excited when you're finally ready to bring this thing to the world and start promoting it.
Yes, exactly. And I will actually be reaching out to them again once I've solidified it a bit more to kind of double check and be like, hey, I took your feedback. I got some more from other people. This is what it's starting to look like. What do you think?
I love that. Yeah, again, just like the quality over quantity, right? You don't necessarily need to hear from 100 people. You could hear from 3, 4, or 5 and get like all the information that you need.
Yeah. Well, and especially for me, because I specialize in groups that are 6 to 16 people. So like asking 5 people, not that everybody I ask will necessarily be a yes, but like even if half of them say yes, I'm already almost, halfway to that 6 people
right.
part. So I think it's especially important when you are kind of focusing on those more intimate groups where people do really connect with each other and are focused on results. It's like, oh, look, I'm modeling that in how I'm even doing the market research. Because one of the things I talk about is personalizing the onboarding. And so it's going to be such a different onboarding message to the people who helped me build this than the people who, kind of came near the end. And so there's that opportunity to really acknowledge the feedback that they gave, thank them for it, and then the invite to take part.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Again, just like a much deeper level, deeper connection. And I always say that like marketing is about building relationships. As much as like we as business owners overcomplicate things and like make them super overwhelming for ourselves, like at the end of the day, marketing is about building relationships. And so what a great opportunity. Now I would love to dive into this whole concept of like marketing the thing all along before the thing is even ready to be selling. But yeah, I'll kick it back to you.
Yeah, no. So like it's part of what I see people not doing that often out in the world. So what happens is listen, putting a group together is vulnerable, right? You're saying, I'm an expert, I'm going to come, I'm going to bring people together, I'm going to lead this group, I'm going to hold the energy for everybody. And so, our kind of natural inclination is I'm going to go into a little silo, into my little cave, and I'm going to build this whole thing out, and it's going to be super precious to me, and it's going to mean so much to me, and I'm going to spend all this time doing that, and then I'm going to put it out to the market. But if that's the first time they're hearing about it, it's kind of like dun dun. It's rare that it like has kind of the spark that you think it is, versus, and this is what you and I have talked about, is like every step along the way. When you first start thinking, I think I might have a group, talk about it, like put it out there, right. Put a poll out there, put a, like whatever it is. I will oftentimes with people, if we do like a program clarity, like it's kind of my intro call with people, I'll be like, do you want to take a picture? Because you can post about this, right? Like it's like, hey, I'm talking to you about my group or whatever. And so everywhere along the way, it's like, let's talk about what we're actually doing and like the decisions we make. Like, ooh, I've decided to do this activity. And yes, you're not going to go into the details, but like, imagine walking out of this with one of my clients. It's like a client language vault, right? And so we talked about what that is, and that's great marketing. It's like, I want a client language vault. What is that? Right. And so everywhere, every step you take in the building of your group becomes a time where you can talk to people about it, share about it. And then when you go to celebrate that it's out there, it's not a surprise to everybody like it is if you go build it in your cave.
Yes. It is so interesting to me. And I've done it in the past myself, that we have this need to like, well, I can't announce it until it's ready. And again, we keep alluding to this conversation that Carrie and I have had before a couple times, but really the gist of it is you don't wait to start promoting something until it's ready to sell, because there's a difference between marketing and sales. And so we need to remember marketing is about building the audience and the awareness and nurturing those relationships and then selling is selling, right? And so, yes, you're not going to sell it until you're ready to sell it, but you can be promoting it and talking about it and doing this market research and having these conversations and building that energy around it as you are building it.
Yes. Yeah. And when it goes well, you already have people on your wait list. Like that is the ultimate when you've created something and had those conversations. So now when you're going to market, you're already like, 2 people are in it or 6 people are in it or whatever it is. And you're just more confident about what you're putting out there than you are when you've built it in a cave. And, I get it because I think there's this weird, like on one hand, it's vulnerable and it's scary and all that kind of stuff. And then we have those moments where we think everybody's going to want what we have. So we don't want to be overwhelmed and inundated with the response and all the people signing up for it. And the truth is like reality is somewhere in the middle, right? Like if people don't know about it, they're not going to jump as soon as you put it out there because they need to be primed for it and understand it. And you're probably not going to get inundated. And if you do, that's great. You just run a second cohort.
Right. Oh my gosh. I want to go back. I love the fact that you asked them to like take a picture and post about it. Cause that's really like, there is a level of like accountability built into that, right? That's like, okay, like go announce this to the world and then you can't back out on it. Because again, when we build things completely on our own in a vacuum, it's so easy to like kick the can down the road and be like, well, I'm too busy right now, or well, it's not the right time of year, or right. And so like, I think there's a level of that. I've heard this too with people writing books, right? That they like don't want to start talking about it because then there's like this added pressure of like, well, I have to finish the book. Well, yeah, but like, isn't that a good thing? So like give yourself that level of accountability. Like, okay, I announced it. Like it's going to hold me to it.
And no one else is paying that much attention. No one is going to sit there and be like, you told me about a group 6 months ago. And if they do, great. That's awesome. They really want your group. Let's do it. Right. Like it's actually an encouragement, but it's hard, right? We put stuff out there and then it doesn't work, or, we get distracted or something in life happens. And then we feel like, oh, what a failure. I don't know what the words are, but like, oh, I'm disappointing myself and my audience. And it's like, no, you're really not. You're really, and talk about that. Like talk about why you're not. Like if you've decided not to write the book, talk about that, share that part about it, right? Or the group or whatever.
Yeah. And again, this is something, that I'm big on this is like the transparency, right? Like the more that we can truly show up as ourselves and be open and honest and be a little vulnerable with the people who follow us on social or subscribe to our emails, like that is just an opportunity for people to connect with you even more. I have totally found that anytime I have shared something that I screwed up or made a mistake on, like people love to be like, oh my God, it's so nice to hear that someone else did it too.
Totally. And then they invite you onto the Unfudge Your Marketing podcast,
And then here we are. Funny, I was just having a conversation with a recent guest about maybe we need to do an episode where I'm on the hot seat and someone else interviews me about my mistakes, which I'm totally game to do.
I love that. Yeah, no, for sure. That's such a great idea. I mean, again, whatever we help people with, there's a way for it to help us as well. So that would be a fun thing to do for sure.
Yes, absolutely. So Carrie, in this conversation, again, right, because we keep talking about our past talks that we've had on this topic, what else would you like to share with people if they are kind of in this, like, I might be launching something new, whether it's a group or a book or a new offer or whatever the thing is, and they're at this point of like, I don't know, should I get feedback? Should I do it myself? Like, what kind of guidance would you give people?
So there's 2 things I will say. So first and foremost is my go-to on feedback is always a gift. You just get to decide if it's a gift, you re-gift. Meaning if you don't want it, you pass it on to the next. It's all good. So, it's really, I get it. You've put a lot of work into whatever it is. And when you get feedback, it can be discouraging. I mean, I always prefer the feedback that is like, this is fantastic. I wouldn't change anything. Yes. Right. But that isn't necessarily the feedback that actually helps us. So recognizing that you get to kind of decide for yourself. And then the other thing that I will say is you can set the parameters for feedback. And so in the work that I do with people for facilitating groups, one of the things I talk about is the ask and thank you framework. And so when you ask for feedback, be really clear about what you're asking for. So like, for example, with a group, if you're like the timeline, like it's going to be a 6-month group, not up for discussion. What I'm looking for feedback on is the activities and the people that I think will be part of it. So being really clear about it. And then the and part is asking for additive feedback. So tell me what you love. Tell me what are the things that you would never want me to change if I were to scrap this. And then thank you is just thank everybody for their feedback and take with it what you want.
Yes. Oh my God. So as soon as you started talking, I love that. I think that's fantastic advice. And as soon as you started talking, it reminded me, I had a client recently. I helped them navigate this whole website redesign process. Like we got new photos done of their team, it was the works and it was a big project. And she was part of like a local business networking group. And so I don't know how it came up, but like she shared it at this group, and opened it for feedback. And somebody raised their hand and said to her, well, I don't think your hair should be down in your photos because it doesn't look professional.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm like, oh my God, I'm thinking of that example with your set the parameters. Like these things are not up for discussion. Like we're not doing new brand photos. We already did them. And I don't really care what you think of my hair. So
yes, set the parameters and thank them for their feedback and never think about it again.
Yes. Yep. Take what you want and leave the rest behind. Yeah. Totally. That's such great advice. That's awesome. Well, Carrie, I'm so glad we have been able to have this discussion because I think that I think a lot of times it can be overlooked. The opportunity to include market research in the form of these conversations we've been talking about in our time together, the value that market research can give you as you are developing something, or maybe it's not even something new. Maybe you're just revamping something, or you have this offer that you've had for a while, but you just haven't promoted it. And you're like, okay, maybe I'm going to take this to the world. Back to a point that you made earlier, getting that insight might not change what you're offering, but it might change the way that you talk about it. And how valuable is that from a marketing standpoint?
Oh, it's huge. And it's the language, their language is the language you need to speak in. And that can be really hard when we're the experts because we know what it's supposed to be called, not what, other people call it. And so, yeah, it is. And I will also say, when you get positive feedback, it's encouragement. It's that encouragement you need to keep going because, wherever those points are in the process, it's usually a dip because it's I came up with the original idea. Now there's a dip to kind of get through the other stuff. So if I talk to people and they give me positive feedback, that's going to get me through it. And so it also helps you to kind of just keep going.
Yes, I love that. The importance of market research, one-on-one conversations with people. Don't just blast your list and expect people to give you something valuable in return in terms of feedback. Yes. As we get ready to wrap up this conversation, Carrie, I feel like we covered a ton of great ground for listeners, but is there any last piece of advice that you want to leave people with?
I think just really making sure that you're in the right headspace when you ask for that feedback is super important. I think so many of us have different experiences where feedback was not necessarily given to us in a way that was helpful. And so just making sure that you're ready for it and recognizing you have the ability to ask for specific feedback. So if there's something that is non-negotiable, you don't want any feedback on it, be clear about it. So really empower yourself to get yourself in the right state for asking for feedback and setting the parameters that makes it feel safe and something that you want to do.
I love that. Such great advice. Thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing your experience and all these little nuggets of wisdom that I know listeners can take and implement on their own. Very lastly, Carrie, as we wrap up, how can people connect with you, learn more about the work that you do?
Well, I will tell them to head over to LinkedIn, which is where you and I connect and stay connected. So LinkedIn is the place that I'm at the most. So check me out there. And from there, if you want, I have a private podcast that you can sign up for, but I also have tons of videos and stuff like that over on LinkedIn. So best place to catch me is there.
Awesome. And I love your podcast. For anyone who runs a group or is thinking about maybe running a group, definitely check out Carrie's podcast for sure.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Carrie, for coming on the show. And until